Hey guys, welcome to the Quantlab. The Quantlab में आपका स्वागत है. There have been lot of requests coming my way about going back to the roots. So I started a series around Python for finance where I'm essentially trying to deep dive into Python concepts, though a little randomly, and try and talk about some of the tools, techniques, libraries within the Python ecosystem that can help you get started with your algorithmic journey, with your algorithmic trading journey. In this video, what I'm trying to do is talk about two key things. One, Yahoo Finance, how to use it to get data. And there's a lot of nuances around using Yahoo Finance, which we'll get into. For example, can we use it to get fundamental data? Can we use it to get larger data? Can we use it to get company financials and stuff like that? And the second video or the second part of this conversation is doing a little bit of juggling around and basic pandas operation that can help you really optimize it. There's a performance tip somewhere in the middle. I don't know where I'll be able to talk about it. So do watch this till the very end. Let's get this started. All right. So what I have is a simple Jupyter notebook. Both the notebooks will be shared. A lot of people have asked me about notebooks. So the links would be posted in the description. Please do check that. Also, if you have not subscribed to my videos, please subscribe to my channel. There's a WhatsApp link if you want to join the community, completely free of cost, no charge involved. There's a lot of like-minded people. Do join in. Let's hop on. So the first thing we are doing is obviously install, and there's two ways to typically install. If you are unfamiliar with this approach, the traditional way would be you will have an Anaconda environment or a Python environment. You will go in the terminal and do a pip install. However, this approach that I am showcasing actually allows you to run commands within notebook. So what you do is you just put exclamation and pip install and it will install it. Sometimes you have to restart the environment for this to kick in. I haven't found really consistency across it, so it's best to see if just try with in the next line. If it's working, great. If it's not, then no point in it. So we'll do this and I'll do a work. So then you import Yahoo Finance as YF. YF is a simple acronym. Think of it as a nickname, short name. And yeah, YF is the standard one for Yahoo Finance. And then what you do is these are some specific or simple operations that almost everybody does. So for example, we'll import Yahoo Finance. This line is done. So this is also done. And now we are just getting data for some stock. So there's ticker symbol, which is AAPL Apple in this case. You just put whatever symbol. If you're getting Indian stock market data, you should put .ns and it will be able to get you that data. Ticker is equals to yf.ticker. It will get the symbol and it will just give you some info, and then key and value. You'll get all of the parameters that are available within. So basically what this code specifically is doing is it's literally listing out every piece of information about that item. So it's a very long laundry list of things which I'll not get into, but it talks about starting from company address to state, city, sector type, business summary, every bit of information. The amount of information held by Yahoo Finance could be different depending on country. But why I wanted to show this is really to explain that there's tons of information with Yahoo Finance, much more than what we are used to. So if you want to do fundamental analysis, you could really build it up on top of it. How do you get historical data? You probably just set some parameters like period is equals to 1 year or 1 month and anything like that. And then you use the history function or download function to specify and get the data. So you will be able to get all of the data, which is OHLCV. There's dividends and stock splits also available as the standard data frame. Again, this is more of a Jupyter notebook thing, which is allowing me to do some sort of playing around with it. Moving forward, you can get company financials, which is really important if you want to do fundamental analysis of this. So there's ticker.financials, balance sheet, cash flow, all sorts of information, and there's much more information. As I showed up here, you can get incredibly large amount of detail. The way is very simple. Ideally, you just call ticker dot whatever options you have. For example, ticker dot, I hope this gives me something. Yeah, So you see, you will get all the methods available, actions, analyst price target, balance sheet, calendar, capital gain, dividends, blah, blah, blah. Tons of, there's an incredibly long list of properties that exist with Yahoo Finance. Why am I talking about this? Because we usually use Yahoo Finance for just getting historical price data, but it is a really powerful tool if you want to get fundamental data also from a company. And then you are also able to get some sort of, dividends and splits, which is also available in the default or data frame, but you can again tailor it. You can get more information like holding information, who holds it, again more in-depth fundamental information. All of them is available within the ticker object, but I'm just trying to show you some of it. There's an interesting function which actually makes even recommendations, and you can get the analyst recommendations which is maintained by Yahoo Finance for different periods of time, and there's buy, sell, etc, etc. Again, these, how are these maintained and curated? You can go to Yahoo Finance website and check about it. So that's pretty much the Yahoo Finance part. So in a nutshell, trying to summarize quickly, you can use Yahoo Finance to get ticker information, which is usual stuff: OHLCV, volume, splits, dividends, etc. You can get adjusted prices. You can get a lot of fundamental information about the company, holding information about the company, lots of other parameters, fund, again basic details about the company. You can get pricing recommendations about it, all of them from Yahoo Finance. So that's part A of it. Now, assuming that you have this data, right, what you will need to do is, again, I'm again trying to install it in the second notebook. What you will need to very quickly do is do a little bit of deeper analysis. Once you have downloaded the data, there's a very strong need, or inherently want to start working with the data, and that's where Pandas kicks in. So Pandas and Yahoo Finance are really good friends, and I'll show why. Here I'm using simple download function to download data, and this is the download function. In the previous notebook, I think I've used a different function. It could be history. Let me go up. I think it was history. Yes, it's history. So yeah, here I have downloaded data. It gives you a nice star and shows it completes. You can now will start to get into a little bit of more detail. So the head function or the tail function can help you get the first 5 or the last 5, whichever you prefer, in the list. And this is more used for, just trying to see and understand the data and the numbers and the column names, etc. I don't think anybody uses to actually validate the data unless they are interested in the top one. Could be useful if you're trying to, doing order by and sorting and sorting, and then you could really do that. Now we come to the most important part about data frames, which is essentially indexing and selecting data. Now, these are operations that, if poorly written, can slow down your code, but if heavily optimized, can help improve really, really quickly things. So what do we do if you want to have a closing prices? So we had Tesla data here, and as you can see, we have multiple columns: OH, LC, adjusted close and volume. And let's say we are only interested in the column. Now this is called a data frame, rows and columns connection. If it's just one column, Pandas terminology calls it as series. You could, interchangeably use most of the times. Now what we're doing is slicing and selecting. So under large bracket, square brackets, you put the name of the column you want with the data frame name before it, and you'll get that. Then there's two different ways to do data selection. One is LOC, which is location. So data frame dot location, and then what we are doing is you are essentially selecting rows and columns by labels. And by labels, I really mean, in this case, I'm using it for closing prices and getting the data within this range, which is 2022 for 121. And that's the data it will essentially throw at me. So this is just getting the head. If you look at it completely, it will probably show me the entire data. It's not considering first and second. Again, could have been Saturday, Sunday, and stuff like that. So that's LOC for you. ILOC is more of indexed based locationing. So integer based selection of rows and columns. and you don't put really any column or something, but what you do is when you do iloc is you specify the rows and columns index. So 0 is to 5 rows and then columns, 0 is to 4, which means I need 4 columns and 5 rows. Now typically, and this is where the performance part comes in, iloc is really fast compared to LOC based searches. So if you're filtering based on LOC versus if you're filtering based on iloc would be faster. Faster iloc or lock. Let's just try that. Is LOC faster? No. See, so somebody wrote a medium. iloc performs almost 200% faster. I wouldn't say that the percentage should be considered to be paramount, but it's significantly faster. So that's how you slice data optimally. Then you do a lot of missing values and type conversion and resampling, about which I'll talk now. So missing value is simply just is null. So if you have certain nulls in your data, you could just combine all of them, and you could either forward fill it, you could drop it, you could do multiple kind of operations with it. Handling missing data in itself is a conversation. Most of the time I see people drop that within this trading space, because it's kind of filling is a very dangerous exercise. How you fill it up, whether you end up filling by mean or medium depending on the market trend, or the way market is behaving, filling is a bad idea. So most people would do a drop, and in place is equals to true means it's actually dropping it within the physical variable. If you don't specify it, it's most likely just carry forwarding the data. So if you want to reduce the space of your data frames actually in physical memory, and you want to further optimize, if you are doing drop any operations, you should do always in place is equals to true. Type conversions is pretty much, if you have, let's say, an index to a date time and stuff like that, you can use the pandas function pd.datetime to make the conversion. Finally, we'll go about resampling and some specific financial metrics calculation. So if, let's say, you have the data in daily and you want to get the data weekly and monthly, so what this is doing is it's essentially using a function called .resample, and you use the mean method to get the resampling. So this is doing a monthly aggregation of the daily data using mean, and this is really powerful if you have very granular data and you want to get multiple time frames from that. You can just generate on the fly using resample, and resample operation is really powerful and it's fast also. Now doing some simple operations like doing financial metric calculation and operating windows and all of that. So you could get the daily difference, or essentially the returns, by using a PCT change function, which is .pct underscore change. It essentially takes the difference between the two. You could do moving average calculations, and I've talked a lot about these when I was talking about technical indicators. Is you could do rolling, again selection. So on the left hand side you have the name of the variable, on the right hand side you have the name of the data frame primarily, and then you apply the operation like rolling window is equals to 20. So this is a 20-day rolling. Mean is equals to, we are just talking about averages here, it could be completely anything else, and then you are just printing the closing price and 20-day moving average along with it. Maybe I'll just run it forward. Just give me 2-3 seconds. This should be quick. Yeah, so you see this is printing the closing price and 20-day moving average. We have enhanced. Why? Because it's a 20-day forward average. You'll not have any values here. And this is a good case if you're working with moving averages, specifically long moving averages. You have to be really cautious of how much data you end up dropping. If you have like a 200-day moving average and your data is like 1 year worth of trading data, and you use 200-day moving average, then and you do drop in it, then you're literally left with really nothing. Those are some rookie mistakes, but important to point out. Again, in this case, if you see, there's just so little of data left. The reason why that is I have a head 25, which means it's only giving me 25 variables. Finally, rolling windows operations can be written slightly differently. It's the same thing, just looking at the tail instead of the head, and in tail you will always get the data. So this is okay, yeah. So basically this is what it is giving, is it's giving the price and it's smoothing it out over 30-day rolling, and I'm looking at the tail instead of head. So it's just a change in it. All right, so that's was the focus of this pandas exercise. What have we talked about? We have talked about Yahoo Finance, how to use that, get the data, do basic offsetting, selection, sorting, location based stuff, movements of data, slicing of data. We've talked a little bit about cleaning, handling missing data, type conversions, doing resampling, and finally doing a little bit of financial calculation like rolling averages, percentages, change, etc., etc. So that's it from this conversation perspective. If you have not watched the previous videos around this series, please do look them up. It should be here somewhere. And with that, thank you for watching, guys. Have a great time learning. Bye bye.